Good morning, Love Tribe. It's been a minute. I hope you are doing well on this Sunday morning. I'm a little nervous doing this video because of all of the violence and toxicity that's been going on in the world lately, and especially with this assassination of Charlie Kirk. And it's important to me to do this because, number one, God told me to. Okay? I have my own version of God that I believe in. And I want to first name that I speak as an independent. I speak as somebody who is not political. I am not associated with the left or the right, or progressives or liberals or MAGA or Republicans or whatever. None of it is my affiliation. My affiliation is also not one of a Christian, a Catholic, a Jew, a Muslim, a Buddhist, Hindu. I am none of the above, and I am all of the above. So I just want to get that really crystal clear before I speak. I am an independent child of God, period. End of story. So I'm going to be speaking through that lens, and I'm going to be speaking from just my own perspective in my heart. And my wish for this video is to pay tribute to somebody who I did not agree with all the time. But I appreciated the way he did things. And I appreciated many, many things about this person. And I didn't like many, many things about this person. So anyways, I just need to get this off my chest because I just do. So Charlie Kirk was somebody who I started watching a little bit back during the election season, just because whatever, I was watching some YouTube videos. I saw this guy and he was sitting in the middle of like 20 college kids in a circle, and he would, debate them. And I love words. Words are my love language. So I thought that was really interesting. And I liked, I forgot the name of the media company, but they would have, somebody who's from the left debate a bunch of people from the right, and they would have somebody from the right debate a bunch of people from the left. And I thought that was cool, because I think we need to have more conversations and dialogues in our country. And sadly, we don't. We have headlines, we have short snippets of information, and then people pick a side, and then they think the other side is bad, evil, wrong. And they, stick their flag in, and it's us versus them, and la, la, la. One of the reasons I liked Charlie Kirk was because he was a fierce defender of the First Amendment, and I am too. And what I love about the First Amendment is, we have the right to free speech. Certainly, we do not have the right to call for violence or anything of that nature. However, I think, we also live in the best country in the world, in my opinion, even though it's flawed, because we don't have to listen to the people speaking. Isn't that neat? You can just say, click, swipe left. I don't want to listen to you. Same thing. We're not forced to do exactly what our government says, like a dictatorship, right? We don't live in that world. And so that's a giant blessing, in my opinion. And that's what makes the First Amendment so powerful. And, what I loved about Charlie Kirk was when he would go do these college campus tours. How many of you go out in front of thousands of college kids and you don't know if they're all on your side or against you, or if it's their parents or who's going to show up in line to talk to you? But Charlie would give these kids a microphone and give them not just, speak in 1 minute. He would give them, 10, 15 minutes to talk and debate him on certain subjects, whatever they thought was, relevant, whether it was abortion, whether it was God, whether it was left versus right, or trans or gay, or any of it. I was impressed with the way that Charlie's brain worked, because he had an encyclopedic mind, and he could pull a lot of information. I wish I had that much storage capacity in my hard drive. I just don't. My brain doesn't work that way. However, it wasn't about putting people down. I never heard him curse. I never heard him call people names. He was very much a man of God. God was, first in his life, and then his wife and children, and then his community, and I don't believe everything he believed in, and I don't stand for everything he stood for, and I certainly don't support certain people that he supports. But I do believe in God, and I believe, that was his driving force in my experience. I probably watched a good, I would say, 40 hours of him, in long form with his debates. And I just thought they were so interesting, because he would talk about racism. He would talk about DEI. He talked about all the subjects that people are afraid to have open conversations about. And it's one thing to see two powerful people that are news people who are paid $1 million to sit behind their desks and talk about stuff. It's another to be in uncharted territory and new audiences and give the microphone to students. Nobody has done that to the scale that Charlie did. And I hope that people keep doing that, because it's very, very important that we listen to the young people. It's very, very important that we give them a voice and microphones, and not just, screaming and ranting and raving on social media. It's important that we have intelligent conversations and dialogue with people that we do not agree with. Tons of people, like, tell me one person in the world that you agree with everything that they say. There's no human on earth that any of us agree with 100%. Other than ourselves. And quite honestly, I think I'm full of shit half the time. So it's just like, So anyway, coming back to the First Amendment, we live in a beautiful, beautiful country. And again, as flawed as it is, we have the ability right now. I'm independent. I can go pop a live stream up and have a few people listening. Thank you for listening. And I'm not, duct taped by the mouth by my sponsors or by my network or by anything. And so nobody can censor me. Obviously the big social media networks can, but I'm on Nostr, and I'm also just have my own, a trove of recordings, and I can put them out there if I wish to. And so, what we're seeing is a lot of, oh gosh, they're canceling Jimmy Kimmel or whoever. Who cares? Let Jimmy Kimmel go start his own network. I mean, look at what Tucker Carlson did, and look at the other independent news people. You don't have to work with a big, media outlet. In fact, it's better if you don't, because you can say what you want. So that's not possible in many countries in this world. And so the fact that we have independent media and journalism, which is what Charlie did. He went out by his own, funding through his organization, and went and did these college tours and wanted to speak and listen. How cool is that? So I hope and pray that other people come up and rise up and have intelligent debates, and not name calling, not throwing stones and cutting people down, but talk about the ideas, talk about the policies, talk about the implications of the policies, instead of, oh, that guy's a jerk and he's bad and blah, blah, blah. No, that's not a sign of an intelligent debater. A debater debates the topics, okay? And so what we've devolved to in social media and mainstream media is attacking the messenger instead of the message. And unfortunately, somebody attacked the messenger, that was Charlie Kirk, with a bullet. And I have a whole theory on this, and I'm not going to talk about it here. But I just want to say that I really, really, really am thankful for you being on this earth, Charlie. Like, you are a very special voice, and it's very scary to go out there and use your voice. Trust me. And it's very scary to stand up in front of people who do not agree with you and maintain your composure. I'm a very emotional person. I would be the worst person to do that. I'm not skilled. I am not as, calm as he was. And so I just think it was a very, this is a unique turning point for real. And not to, just use his organization. This is a turning point in the United States and hopefully for the world. And so wherever you are, Charlie Kirk, I pray that you're watching over everybody in peace and, your beautiful family. I'm so sorry that they had to lose you to violence because you spoke. I mean, that's what happened to Martin Luther King. Do I agree with Martin Luther King on everything? Was he a perfect human? No. He cheated on his wife, but he was a great man, right? And so there's so many people out there that do these wonderful things, but they're just humans, right? And we're all just doing the best we can. And, we can't throw stones in a glass house, right? Like we all have our own faults. We all are full of shit at some times. We're all liars. We're all manipulators. We're all people out there literally trying to survive, but then we're also trying to thrive and make the world a better place. And so that's something that I really, I just admired that about him. He did not drink. He did not smoke. He was, I think, a very virtuous person. And I like that about him because it sets a good role model for young people. What we see today, right now, people are sleeping with a whole bunch of people. They're not committing to each other. They're, what's your body count? All this stuff. There's not chivalry anymore. So I think I appreciate, call me an old fuddy-duddy, but I like some of the old-fashioned values, that I grew up with. And I hope that, I love all the new stuff too, but I'm also like, there's a foundation that I think we can all agree. I mean, I agreed with him on that. I watched a video once of him talking to a couple guys. I don't know who they were. It was two, I think, podcaster guys. And they were talking about like, hey, do you pay for women on the first date or, on your dates? And, I don't know if both of the guys said no. And Charlie was just like, I would be embarrassed as a man if I didn't pay for a woman on a date. Like, that's like embarrassing. I would always want to pay for a lady on a date. That's what a gentleman does. And I thought, wow, that's nice. He cares about women, And so again, I've watched at least 40 hours of long form. So any of these little snippets and, oh, he promotes violence and hate, I did not ever see that in my research of watching all these videos. And so sure, it's easy to take something out of context and make a headline out of it and, ooh, you're a bad guy. I mean, that's what they do to everybody on the left, the right, anywhere. So do your homework. Don't just read the headlines. But we are conditioned because they want to control us, to be on sports, politics, and religion and call each other, them versus us. And I don't believe in any of that stuff. I believe it's us, all of us together as humans, the human race. So I will always stand for that. And, again, I don't agree with what Charlie always said, but I'm so grateful that he taught me not to be afraid to use my voice. And I have self-censored myself a lot, let me tell you, because as a mother, you don't want your kids' friends' moms to think like, oh God, you've got the crazy mom. Well, they already think I'm a little crazy, but once I really unleash, oh shit. Anyway, that's it. I just really wanted to say that. And, a lot of people are like, how could you support Charlie Kirk? You're about peace and love. And you're like, damn straight I am. But I'm also full of rage and I'm full of anger because we have not, as a society, gotten our act together enough yet so that there's, again, this kid was, in my opinion, the shooter was a patsy, and this is a whole different operation. But we are allowing these things to happen. We're allowing school shootings to happen. I love the First Amendment, but I also appreciate the Second Amendment because guess why it's there? So that we can have the First Amendment. Do I think we need to have gun laws? Absolutely. Do I think any idiot should have a gun? Do I think that you should have, just like you have to drive a car, you need a license and insurance? Yep. I think that would make sense to me personally, to keep people safe and have accountability. So I think people should be able to have the right to defend themselves and bear arms for sure. And against predators in their local vicinity and against a toxic government that might turn against us. And so, yes, the Second Amendment. Do I have a gun? No. But do I think anybody who wants one, who passes the test and gets insurance, should have one? Yeah, that makes sense to me. So I wish we could have just this thing called the common sense party instead of liberal, Republican, whatever, Democrats. It's like, can we have common sense? That would make sense. So, anyways, it's Sunday. Like I said, I was a little nervous to do this post, but God told me to, and I did. And I listened to what God says. I have had probably the roughest 17 months of my life with health issues, with family issues. A lot of things happening in my life that really kicked my ass in a few ways. And I'll be talking about that, in some upcoming episodes. But I've been on a little hiatus and I'm still going to be on it for a minute. But I will be serving you in the best way that I can with the podcast. And my invitation to you is tune into whatever your God is, whatever your version is, whether it's nature, whether it's Jesus, whether it's, your higher power of voice, whether it's, the universe. My invitation to you is make that your guiding force, your guiding voice, and use the strength of God to speak and share your truth and share your vision and share your love and share your mission with the earth and the people on earth, And so, and don't censor yourself, and it's scary. And I'm going to be doing more, taking off the duct tape off of my mouth because I've been afraid of maybe hurting people's feelings or saying something that, some of my friends wouldn't like, or some of my family wouldn't like, or whoever. So I'm not saying to go be mean and hurt people on purpose, but don't be afraid. Stop being afraid, and do your research before you make lots of judgments, and it's okay to have an opinion, but before you go and shoot the messenger, go listen to all the messages in context. And let me tell you why it's not your fault that this is happening. You are overworked. You are underpaid. Your dollar or currency, whatever you're using, is getting debased at an astronomical rate. So you're exhausted, you're tired, you're confused, you're overwhelmed. And the idea of going and listening to 40 hours of Charlie Kirk just so you can have an idea of, do you believe this guy or not? I can see why it's difficult to say yes to that. So again, it's not your fault that you haven't done this. This is my job to kind of, pay attention to voices and angles, and for me to triangulate positions of things happening in the world, so that I can go out there and speak in a way that's meaningful. But it's not your fault. Okay. But remember, if you haven't done the research, be careful with how firm you stand in your positions, and don't let just headlines from mainstream media or some social media headlines be your only data points to form your worldview, because you're missing a lot. And again, it's not your fault. And I know most of us are exhausted because of this. And this is why I'm a Bitcoiner, because I'm trying to help get a new world built with the sound money so that people have more time to have dialogue and research and understand things from a deeper perspective. So enough of that soliloquy. Listen to God, listen to your God, and act from there. And I will be too. And I'm so grateful to our country and the people who have fought for our country and died for our country and for the freedom and the voices that we each have. And I pray that everybody on planet Earth has the opportunity to, if they wish, use their voice. And that's what Charlie did. And that's what I loved about him. And so, God bless you, and God bless your family, and God bless everybody who's listening who wants to use your voice. Use it. We need it. We need more voices of love and more voices of power and truth and unity. Okay. It's not us versus them. There's only us, like we, the collective, all of us. So let's get it together, people. I love you very much. God bless you. And I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you for listening, and share this with a friend if you feel like it. I know a lot of people don't like Charlie Kirk, but maybe they'll get something new out of it, and maybe their heart might soften, and maybe they might pick up a microphone and start talking and, sharing themselves. So who knows? So God bless. More peace and more love, please. Thanks, God.